What's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a pretty long time since I've done a review on anything, and to be honest, I was supposed to be working on an Oath and Felghana video, but I think you guys know what's been taking up all of my time as of recent. I know some people have been looking forward to this after my Azure review, and honestly, I was really looking forward to finally playing this game myself. The Cold Steel games were the most common thing I'd hear about regarding the series. Really made me wonder if it was as good and crazy as people made it out to be. After my experience in Crossbow, I didn't exactly think anything after could top it, but I'm happy to say Cold Steel was just as good. It's almost scary how consistently amazing these games are. Every new entry I play is either on par or straight up better than the previous. I know I've still got a pretty long road ahead of me, considering there's apparently 3 more games in this arc, but for my first time experiencing Erebonia, it was incredible, and now, after 70 hours, I get to share my thoughts with you guys. So, enough with the intro. Let's get straight to it. So, the first thing I want to talk about is just the overall feeling of the game. The vibe, I guess. As the first fully 3D Trails game, I always heard people say that it didn't exactly age too well compared to the previous games in the series. But honestly, in my first few hours playing the game, I didn't really mind how the game looked. In fact, I kinda enjoyed it. There was just something oddly charming about the whole game. The environments, the character models, their expressions, the combination of all those things just made it that much more enjoyable to walk around and explore, take on side quests, talk to NPCs, and fight alongside the members of Class 7. I don't think this game aged poorly at all. In fact, whenever I was playing this game, it felt like I'd get transported to a completely different time of my life. At certain points, I genuinely felt like I was a little kid again while I went through this game. The game brought out some sort of childlike wonder in me that no other series aside from East has done before. But maybe that just goes to show how amazing Falcom games are. Seriously though, even now, just thinking back, I always got this almost inexplainable sense of nostalgia as I played, even though this is my first playthrough. The vibe, or maybe just personal perspective, can really have an impact on how you feel about a game, or anything for that matter. Those first few hours walking around Trista and exploring Thors felt almost magical. The feeling of stepping into a brand new world is really special, and this game made me feel that pretty much perfectly. It's a similar feeling to when I first played Zero and got to explore Crossbow, but it was a bit different in Erebonia. In Crossbow, just being in the main city itself and walking around was an experience all on its own. But here, I feel like the scope was revealed a bit more gradually. It started off just in Trista and Thors. Trista was smaller than I was expecting, but it had a good vibe and I grew attached to the place pretty fast. When I unlocked fast travel, most of the time I just walked around from place to place. I really enjoyed just running around Trista. Same with Thors, although it was kinda overwhelming at first. Thankfully, I did get used to finding my way around pretty quickly, although I guess that overwhelming feeling was pretty necessary. I mean, if you enrolled into a brand new school, you wouldn't know where everything was on the first day. I mean, if my school was as big as Thors, I'd be cooked. However, it doesn't just stop at Trista and Thors. As I said, I feel like the scope of Erebonia opens up more gradually than before, and that's thanks to all the field studies. Every month I went somewhere new and got to experience more of Erebonia each time. And with how they were spread out, not only did it never feel overwhelming or tiring, I looked forward to them each and every time. Technically, it was sort of a routine. Every month there'd be a practical exam and then you go on a field study that weekend. But the fact I was genuinely excited and looking forward to it every time is what made the game so fun and made me want to continue pressing on. Even on free days while out helping the student council, I'd still be thinking about where the next field study was gonna be. And man, looking back, those field studies were so damn good. All of them, in fact. But if I had to pick favorites, they'd absolutely be the ones from June through August. The Nord Highlands, Heimdall, and Legram. The Nord Highlands field study was a highlight though, cause oh my god, it was genuinely an amazing experience. I've already said how the game gave me an odd sense of nostalgia, and going to the North Highlands was the first time I got hit with that feeling. It was actually magical, man. Riding around on a horseback in a map as huge as that, combined with the music in the background, it was absolute perfection, man. It's hard to even try and explain what was going through my mind during that. I was feeling emotions I didn't even know existed. And trust me, the game did that to me a lot. Alright, the next main thing I want to talk about is the gameplay. There's a bunch I want to go over, so lock in. First off, I gotta say, it's almost scary how fun this game is, man. Oh my god. It definitely took a while to get used to everything they threw at me, but somewhere like halfway through the game, something just clicked, and I started to really lock in. Getting those follow-ups using the Arcus link was so satisfying, man. Before long, I really got into a flow state during combat. It almost started to feel like I was getting addicted to the combat system. That might be a slight exaggeration, but it doesn't change the fact that the combat might just be the best in the series so far. I thought Azure was peak after adding the Master Quartz and the burst mechanic, but after seeing the changes and improvements that this game brought to the table, in terms of pure gameplay, I think this game has Azure beat. It's really just that fun. The combat really started to click with me when I found my perfect team setup of Reen, Alyssa, Elliot, and Laura. With those four fighting together, I felt like I could beat anything the game threw at me. However, at no point in this game could I ever get overconfident, mainly for two reasons. The first being that I never always had those four in my party. With the field studies and stuff, the available party members would change damn near every time, meaning that I'd have to switch up my approach to combat, even if at certain times I really didn't want to. The second thing that always kept me on my toes in terms of combat were the boss fights. They really don't mess around in this game. Sure, towards the end when I had my main team, it was pretty manageable, but earlier on, I genuinely felt a bit nervous before a boss fight. I could never tell if I was decently prepared or if I was about to get completely washed. On rare occasion, I'd get through a boss fight relatively easily, but more often than not, I have to be utterly and completely locked in. If I wasn't playing at my best and staying on top of my game, if I slipped up or lost focus for even one turn, things could go south real quick, and that made fighting even more enjoyable. I was feeling something on damn near every boss fight. The fact that everything wasn't a total breeze made the fights more memorable, like the fight underground during the Berea Hard field study, or fighting the Imperial Liberation Front in Heimdall. And don't even get me started on a certain fight in the old schoolhouse during the final chapter. I've never had to lock in so much before, but either way, what's important is that I was enjoying myself during all that, even through all the hardships. As long as I remember to have fun and give it my all, nothing could stop Class 7. For real though, this game was amazing. Even the slight issues I had kinda just feel like nitpicks now that I look back. I really only had two things that bugged me for a while, but I got used to them soon enough. The first thing being the movement. For being the first fully 3D Trails game, I feel like Falcom did pretty damn well all around. The character models and environments, while not graphically insane, are nice and have a good aesthetic. However, moving around in the game is one of the things that, at first, just doesn't feel right. It's a bit hard to explain, especially now that I'm used to it, but moving around in this game just felt kinda off. I had to use the camera to turn my character more than actually turning the character itself. Like I said, it's hard to explain, and I'm more used to it now, so it's really whatever. I do hope the movement feels a bit more natural in the next game though. The other thing I'm still not completely used to is how fast forwarding works in combat. You see, in the previous games, when you held the fast forward button, the game would do just that. The speed of combat would be way faster, making fights not take as long and grinding way more manageable. In this game though, fast forwarding doesn't just speed things up, it skips animations completely. Now this might seem like a good thing, skipping animations completely makes things even faster than before. But for one, I kinda got used to how it worked before, so this sudden change up really threw me for a loop. And two, sometimes I'd fast forward for just a bit and all of a sudden someone's hella low on HP or totally out of it. It really catches you off guard sometimes, which makes me not fast forward as much, unless I'm grinding or something. Again, it's more of a minor issue now, but hopefully they change the fast forwarding to how it was before. Anyways, nitpicking over, now we can get back and talk more about the good aspects of the game. You know, like the music. You know how Falcom games are, man. The music is always a highlight in every game, and it's the same in Cold Steel. So many songs, both in and out of combat, have been stuck in my head for a decent while now, but there's something Cold Steel has music-wise that I say is slightly better than previous games. The town music in this game is amazing, man. The songs that play when I'm out exploring on a field study were not only just great to listen to, but also fit the vibe of wherever I happened to be at the time. Heimdall was definitely a highlight here though. For whatever reason, that song has been stuck in my head ever since I first heard it. And I can't talk about music without bringing up the Nord Highlands again, cause man, the music fits perfectly. That song starting up when I first rode out into the vast area was such a good vibe, man. It absolutely added to that feeling of nostalgia I mentioned earlier. Although certain battle themes also made me feel this weird sense of nostalgia. It really might just be a personal thing at this point, I don't know. Although, what I do know is that, as usual, the opening of this game is nothing short of absolute peak. However, it wasn't just the opening that hit. The ending song was just as good. Alright, y'all know what time it is. Gonna be talking about the story next. I never usually go too in depth with this, and I don't even think I can with how this game ended, but still, I'm gonna put up a spoiler warning just in case. If you haven't beaten the game yet, you should probably click off. Be sure to subscribe if you enjoyed the video until now though. Alright, let's get back to it. I'm gonna be honest, I genuinely don't even know what I should say about the story. There's just so much that happened throughout the course of the game. The time they arrested Machias and Bereahard, when war nearly broke out in the Nord Highlands, the multiple run-ins with the Imperial Liberation Front, exploring that castle in Nagram. I've really seen a lot now that I'm looking back. Although, that final chapter really just changed everything in my eyes. Unfortunately, I already kinda knew how this game was gonna end. All I really knew was that it was some sort of cliffhanger. So during that final chapter, all I could think about was, oh, is this the final fight? Or maybe it'll end here. But I can never predict what these games are gonna throw at me. I swear, if I made a prediction video on where I think the series is gonna go next, I'd probably get every single thing wrong. I did end up being right when I thought Crow was C. Looking back, the name alone was kinda obvious, but to be fair, he did clean up his tracks really damn well. The fact that nobody knew for certain until he already played Checkmate was proof of that. I might be misremembering, but I think Lecter mentioned Osborne got shot sometime in Azure, so when I heard that Crow was in the same place where he was having that speech, it clicked right then and there. And even despite knowing what was about to go down, the suspense was kinda crazy. I've said it before, but these games are really good at making me feel genuine emotions. And as for how the game actually ended, I was not expecting something like that to go down at all. Like, I was already in my feelings just from Reen and Crow's interaction towards the end. But that scene right before Valimar retreats, hearing Laura's final message for Reen, and the credits rolling right after. Let's just say I haven't been that close to crying in a really long time. I didn't even think I grew that attached to the characters this quickly. I mean, it's been one game, but man, everyone just grew on me so fast. I think what really contributed to that was the voice acting. It was really well done. The dialogue just feels so natural. At times, I kind of forget I'm just playing a game. It feels like I'm just listening to a genuine conversation. It's great. I don't think that final scene would have hit nearly as hard if this game didn't have an English dub, so I really appreciate that. I don't appreciate that damn cliffhanger though. Honestly, you don't know how hard it was to just close the game and go to bed after that. I wanted to fire up the second game so bad, but I had to make this video first, so that takes priority. I also don't want to get burnt out considering there's 3 more Cold Steel games, and the fact that I spent 70 hours on this game alone. So yeah, a bit of a break is definitely in order, but that final scene is going to be in my head for a really long time. And yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say. 6 games in, and the series just continues to reach new heights. All those hours I spent in this game, walking around Trista, helping the student council, fighting with Class 7, going on field studies, I don't regret a single bit of it. There was never a dull moment in this game, and it kept this momentum up all the way to the very end. Despite my feelings, I'll do my best to not immediately jump into Cold Steel 2 and burn myself out. I already own the game though, so I guess we'll see how long that lasts. Anyways, that's all for me. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. I've still got the Oath and Felghana video in the works, so if you're interested, you'll definitely want to stay posted. Alright, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.